Pokemon gyms used to be the ultimate trainer test, but somewhere along the way, they stopped being tests at all. Gen 9 makes you roll an olive, Gen 8 makes you herd sheep, one gym is literally just a hallway, and Gen 5 had roller coaster and mechanical dragons. So today I'm gonna crown the worst gym in every generation, with the worst gym in franchise history saved for last. Despite being the first generation of Pokemon, most of Kanto's gyms are surprisingly good. The first gym teaches you type matchups, Sabrina warp tiles are iconic, and Lieutenant Surge's gym has the iconic trash cans that everyone loves. But there are some weak spots. Erica in Celadon City is about as forgettable as a gym leader can get. The creepy old man standing outside the gym is more memorable than her simple cut mace. She's a mid-game gym leader, so it's not the end of the world, but there's just nothing about her that really makes her stand out. But she's not the worst. That goes to someone who has way less of an excuse being the 7th gym leader, Blaine on Cinnabar Island. At this point in the game, the difficulty should be ramping up. You're one badge away from Giovanni, so what does Blaine bring to the table? He's a fire type specialist on an island that you surf to, meaning you already have a water type on your team that is ready to sweep him before you even walk through the door. His quiz gimmick lets you skip trainers entirely if you answer correctly, which sounds interesting until you realize the questions are just basic Pokemon trivia. So you can bypass the entire trainer gauntlet just by paying attention, and his team is all pure fire types with no coverage. To make things worse, Magmar exists, and Blaine doesn't use it. Its Pokedex entry literally says it lives inside of an active volcano, but Blaine somehow doesn't have one. Regardless, whatever water type takes you to the island can basically solo this gym. For the 7th gym leader, there really should be more to it. So Gen 1's worst gym is Blaine, because for where he's placed in the game, it just doesn't make sense. But did Gen 2 improve on when Kanto started? Gen 2 is claimed to be the golden age of Pokemon. Claire and her Kindra are really tough. Whitney's Milk Tank rollout traumatized an entire generation of Pokemon fans. And Morty's invisible floor puzzle was creative, but it also has one of the most disappointing gym leaders in the series. First, though the area does have its highs, but it also has some really low lows. Jasmine was supposed to be the showcase with a brand new steel type. Therefore, you expect her gym to be built around it, but her gym has 0 puzzles. You just walk straight to her, and when you get there, her team only knows one steel type move across all her Pokemon. One, she has 2 Magnemites and a Steelix that knows Iron Tail, and that's it for steel representation. So you're introducing a brand new type and your showcase gym barely uses it, which means Cyndaquil starters just melt her entire gym before she can prove anything. However, neither of them are the worst. That spot belongs to someone even more disappointing. Chuck, the 5th gym leader. 5 badges in, you'd expect some kind of challenge, right? He uses 2 Pokemon, a Primeape and a Poliwrath. And similar to Jasmine's gym, Gen 2 introduced new fighting types, Heracross, Tyrogue, and Hitmontop. Chuck uses none of them. He's running a full Gen 1 team in a Gen 2 game, which is on brand for Gen 2. But his Primeape is level 27 with Leer, Rage, Karate Chop, and Fury Swipes. That's the moveset as the 5th gym. If you have a flying or psychic type, you're sweeping him without breaking a sweat. We went from Gen 1 having a decent set of gyms with a weak 7th leader to Gen 2 having a 5th gym leader with 2 Pokemon and a waterfall for a puzzle. That's a setback in the gym experience for sure. But we all know that didn't last that long because Gen 3 turned it all around. Gen 3 is where the gym design really starts to click. Norman Slacking hits like a truck and his room choice puzzle is clever. The Sutopolis Ice Cycles are one of the best gym puzzles in the entire franchise. Even Moss Deep with the spin arrows, frustrating as they are, show real design ambition. Compared to what we saw in Gen 2, this is a massive jump in quality. But we need to talk about Tate and Liza in Ruby and Sapphire. And I know I'm about to make some Nuzlockers pretty mad. Yes, I do know that in Nuzlocke, Tate and Liza can be terrifying. The double battle format with Solrock and Lunatone can end runs, but we're talking about a standard playthrough. In Ruby and Sapphire, they each have 1 Pokemon. Both are Rock and Psychic types. Both are weak to Surf. So you Surf once and you one-shot the entire 7th gym gym leader battle. Emerald fixes this by giving them 4 Pokemon, including Claydol and Satu, with much better strategy. So yeah, if you're a Nuzlocke, you probably disagree. And you know what? That is fair. We have had 2 gyms that have the exact same issue. And honestly, Watson needs to be called out for having 0 Gen 3 Pokemon in his Ruby and Sapphire and Aura's teams. You're in Hoenn. Use some Hoenn Pokemon. Both have a case to be the worst gym, but neither of them are actually the worst. Flannery is. The Hot Springs puzzle sounds cool on paper, but it's more annoying than challenging. You're just trial and erroring your way through it until you find the right geyser. And once you reach Flannery, her team kind of sucks. In Ruby and Sapphire, she has Numel, Slugma, and Torkoal. And that Torkoal has base 20 speed. It gets outsped by basically everything you have at this point. Oh, and you definitely have Surf by now, so... She's a new gym leader in the game's lore, which explains her being flustered and inexperienced, but the lore doesn't change the player experience. Gen 3's worst gym is Flannery's, and the fact that she still has a functional gym with an actual puzzle shows just how much better this generation is compared to what came before. Game Freak clearly figured out something between Gen 2 and Gen 3, and they kept building on it. And build on it they did. Gen 4 takes what Gen 3 established and polishes it even further. Volkner's gear rotation puzzle might be the best single gym puzzle in the entire franchise. Candace's snowball ice sliding is challenging and fun. Byron's construction elevator fits the steel type theme perfectly. There's Fantina's math-based ghost gym and Maylene's punching bag puzzle. There's so many bangers in this gen. So picking the worst here is more about who's the least impressive rather than who's actually bad. But Fantina does need to be addressed because of her version inconsistencies. In Diamond and Pearl, she's a 5th gym leader with a tough team. In Platinum, she's moved to the 3rd gym slot and her team gets significantly nerfed. Miss Magius drops from level 36 to level 26. Gengar gets de-evolved and Drifloon gets changed for a Duskull. So you're essentially fighting a different gym leader depending on the version you bought. But the actual worst gym is Crasher Wakes. Look, Crasher Wake has personality. The guy's a wrestler with a mask who strikes poses, but his gym is a water level puzzle which has been done in other games. It's just been done better. It's functional, not creative. And his team, Gyarados, Quagsire, and Floatzel. Now, Gyarados is solid, and Quagsire's water ground typing gives it an electric immunity, which is interesting. But odds are, you already have a grass type that can handle both of them. And Floatzel isn't gonna stop anyone. For a water type gym, he's just another generic water leader in a generation where every other gym leader brings something unique to the table. Gen 4's worst gym is still better than most of the gyms in Gen 2. Crasher Wake at least has a functioning puzzle and 3 Pokemon with some type variety. And that's how you know that the overall quality has been climbing. Game Freak found their groove in Gens 3 and 4 by combining creative puzzles, competitive trainer tests, and leaders with teams that actually put up a fight. The physical special split in Gen 4 also made team building more strategic, which raised the floor for every battle in the game. So where does the formula go from here? Well, it peaks. With Gen 5, we reached the peak. If you ever want to show someone what peak Pokemon gym design looks like, well, you show them Unova. Elisa's roller coaster gym, where you use them to navigate between platforms, Clay's mineshaft elevators in black and white, then a completely different conveyor belt puzzle in black and white too. Skyla's canyon launch system that shoots you between platforms, and Drayden's mechanical dragon in black and white too, where you ride on it and direct it with arrows, navigating the dragon's body to reach the top. These aren't just puzzles, they're experiences. Every gym in Unova feels like it was designed by someone who genuinely cared about making it unique, fun, and challenging. But even the best generation has a weak link. Actually, it has a couple. Berg runs Castelia City's gym in the biggest city in the game, and it's a bug type gym. Bug types at this point in the series don't have the stats or the move pools to be threatening, and Berg's team clearly reflects that. The Honeywell puzzle is creative visually, but it's simple to solve. The biggest city in the game deserved a better gym, and honestly, Bryson over in Isirius City has the eternal ice type problem, but his sliding puzzle is okay, it's just done better in other regions. But the actual worst gym in Gen 5 is Striaton City. Those damn elemental monkeys. You fight one of the 3 gym leaders based on your starter, and the game literally hands you the type advantage Pokemon before the battle. You get a free Pansage, Pansear, or Pampor right before walking in. Each leader uses their monkey plus 1 other Pokemon, both around levels 12 to 14. The gym puzzle is a curtain matching system where you pick the type that beats what's on the curtain. Now, it is a first gym. I get it. First gyms are supposed to be accessible, but Brock in Gen 1 still gave Charmander players a hard time, and Roxanne's Nose Pass in Gen 3 could be surprisingly annoying with Rock Tomb lowering your speed. These leaders at least made you work for it. Cillian, Chili, and Crass hand you over the answer before you even walk through the door. And on top of that, nobody likes those elemental monkeys. Nobody used them after this gym. But here's the thing, Gen 5's worst gym is bad by Unova standards, not by franchise standards. It's still functional, it teaches type matchups. It's just that when the rest of your generation has roller coasters and mechanical dragons, a curtain quiz with a free counter Pokemon sticks out. And as you've noticed from Gen 1 to Gen 3, gyms have been on a pretty steady upward trajectory. Even the worst gyms in the latter generations are better than the average gyms in the early ones. But this is the top of the bell curve. Everything after this starts going downhill because Gen 6 changed everything, and not for the better. Gen 6 is the turning point, and you almost feel it immediately. X and Y were the first fully 3D mainline Pokemon games, and that transition affected everything. This is also the generation that introduced the Force EXP share. The new EXP share gives experience to your entire party after every single battle, whether you want it or not. What this means in practice is that by the time that you reach most gym leaders, you're already over leveled, and sometimes by 5 or 10 levels. The difficulty just evaporates, and you can feel it across the board. Wolfric is the final gym leader in Kalos, and he uses ice types. Seriously, why does Game Freak love to use ice gyms as the last gym? His Avalugg is level 59, and your team is probably pushing 70 at this point thanks to the EXP share. The rotating puzzle is okay, but for the last gym, coming off of what Gen 5 was doing, you should leave that gym feeling like you earned something, but I mean, I didn't. And then there's Valerie, the first ever fairy type gym leader in the franchise. This should have been a massive deal, but her team all share a common weakness. If you know fairy type weaknesses, you're solid. If you don't, you might struggle, but that's not difficulty, that's just the game failing to educate you on a new typing. And her puzzle recycled warp tiles from Sabrina's gym. The debut of an entirely new type got a hand-me-down puzzle design. I don't know why they didn't try doing something more creative here, but neither of them are the worst in Kalos. That honor goes to someone forgettable, Ramos. If I asked you to name every gym leader in Kalos right now, I can guarantee that Ramos is the one you forget. He is the grass type leader in Vermillion City, and his gym puzzle is a vine climbing tower, which sounds cool until you realize it takes about 90 seconds to get through it with 0 puzzle solving skills. You just swing from one vine to the other. His team is Jumpluff, Weeping Bell, and Go-Go. Any fire type on your team just walks through this gym without breaking a sweat. There's no memorable puzzle, there's no narrative significance, there's no interesting personality quirk that makes you care. He's just there. Compared to what Gen 5's gym leaders were doing, even at their worst, this is just sad. Gen 6 is where you can feel the shift. The puzzles are simpler, the gym leaders are weaker because the game isn't balanced. The 2D formula they had been perfecting for 5 generations doesn't translate to 3D, and they didn't adapt it. They just made it easier. And from there on out, it mostly just gets worse. So after Gen 6 problems, Game Freak did something bold. They removed gyms entirely. Sun and Moon replaced them with island trials and grand trials. They are challenges set by trial captains and kahunas instead of traditional gym leaders. And honestly, the concept had potential. Totem Pokemon were wild Pokemon with permanent stat boosts that could call allies mid-battle for help. And some of them were genuinely scary. Totem Wishy-Washy in school form is no joke. Totem Mimikyu in the abandoned thrifty Mega Mart is atmospheric and hard. If you weren't prepared, these fights could wipe you out. But the system had its problems. Mina in Sun and Moon doesn't even have a trial. She just gives you the Ferium Z. That's it. No battle, no challenge, no tasks, no nothing. She just hands it to you. They fixed this in Ultra Sun and Moon by giving her an actual trial, but that's just plain laziness. And Sophocles' audio quiz is one of the more forgettable ones in the game. Answer some bass sound questions and fight a Totem Vivicult. It's barely fine, but the actual worst is a grand trial. And this one's frustrating because grand trials are supposed to be the big boss fights, the island's milestone that tests everything you've built up to. And that honor goes to Olivia at Akala Island. Olivia is a rock type specialist, and rock type has 5 weaknesses. She uses 3 Pokemon for the supposedly climatic battle: Nosepass, Baldur, and Lycanroc. But in Sun and Moon, her ace Lycanroc only knows 2 moves. 2. Rock Throw and Bite. That's the moveset on an ace Pokemon of a grand trial. If you have literally any water type or grass type, she goes down without putting up a fight, which is a shame because this was one of the most impactful battles in the anime. For a grand trial, this is really underwhelming compared to what the totem battles were doing in the same game. This just makes even less sense. Now, the bigger question here is whether the trial system itself was better or worse than gyms. And honestly, it's a mixed bag because the totem battles were often harder than the gym leader fights from the same era. But you lost the puzzles entirely. Trials had tasks, not puzzles. You collect ingredients, take photos, answer quizzes. And without the gym building itself, you lost the sense of entering a purpose-built space designed around a type. Walking into Sabrina's gym feels different than walking into a field and fighting a big Pokemon. Both can work, but something was lost in the transition. And when your grand trial boss has 2 moves on her ace Pokemon, it's hard to argue that the new system was a net improvement. Either way, Olivia is Gen 7's worst version of a gym. So Gen 8, which brought back gyms, did they manage to reverse that trend? Not really. Gen 8 brought gyms back, but not in the way that you'd hope. Sword and Shield restructured gyms as a sports league. You wear a uniform, you walk into a stadium pitch, and the crowd cheers. You Dynamax your Pokemon, and then everything gets huge. It looks really cool, I'll give you that. But what replaced the gym puzzles were gym missions. Themed mini-games you complete before the leader fights. Herding Wooloo through gates, answering Opal's personality quiz. Only Nessa's gym with the water flow switches actually resemble a traditional gym puzzle. Everything else is a minigame. And there are some casualties of this shift. Milo is the first gym leader. He has 2 Pokemon, a Gossifleur at level 19 and an Eldegoss at level 20. The Wooloo herding mission is cute, but it's not a gym challenge. It's a petting zoo. And Pierre's gym in Spike's Mouth, it's literally a hallway. There's no stadium, no Dynamax, no puzzle, no mission. You walk down a straight path, fight a few Team Yell grunts, and then fight Piers at the end. He's a cool character and probably one of the more likable gym leaders, but his gym is the most bare bones layout in franchise history. It's a hallway, that's it. But neither of them are the worst. The worst is somehow the final gym leader. And this one really sucks course, because we have Hoenn at Hammerlock. This is the last gym leader, the final boss before the championship cup. This battle should be the ultimate test, the culmination of every gym challenge, and Hoenn brings double battle format, which in theory sounds harder. 2-on-2, there's more strategy, more complexity, but in practice, it makes it easier. And you can also Dynamax, so it's not like he has a unique advantage. And his team composition is confusing. He is supposed to be a dragon type specialist, but he only has 2 actual dragon types with Flygon and Duraludon. The other 2 Pokemon are Gigalith, a rock type that exists just to set up Sandstorm, and Sandaconda, which has no business being on a dragon team. Duraludon, his ace, is a steel dragon, which is 4 times weak to ground. So 1 earthquake and his ace is gone. For the final gym leader in the game, his team composition doesn't make sense. When I played Sword and Shield, I was looking forward to the gym challenge getting harder as it went on, and it just didn't. I enjoyed the double battle concept, but it was over before it really started, and honestly, the whole gym challenge felt lackluster. The stadium presentation is cool the first time, but it wears off fast when every gym has the exact same stadium template. Gen 8 is where the gym puzzles died. The shift from spatial puzzles to themed minigames removed the last trace of what made gyms feel like actual tests. You're not solving anything, you're performing tasks, and when the Dynamax mechanic lets you 3-shot most leaders on top of that, the entire gym challenge becomes a victory lap rather than an actual challenge. Compared to what Gen 5 was doing, this doesn't even feel like the same franchise, and somehow it gets worse. Scarlet and Violet are our most recent generation. It's an open world with a non-linear gym order. You can go anywhere, fight anyone in whatever order you want, which sounds great until you realize that none of the gyms scale to your level. That's already a problem, but the gyms make it worse. The gyms in Gen 9 move entirely outside. You're rolling olives down a hill, finding some flora hiding in a town, playing Simon Says, ordering a secret menu item at a restaurant by talking to NPCs. The community describes these as running errands, and I can't argue with that. At least Gen 8's minigames happen inside of the gym. These are even Pokemon activities, and some of these are rough. Tulip's gym test, the emotional spectrum practice, is a painfully slow Simon Says game that never punishes you for the wrong answers. Press the wrong button, nothing happens, just try again. It's like they designed the test to be impossible to fail. It consistently ranks as one of the worst gym tests in the game. Now, I will say this, and this is from personal experience, some of the Gen 9 gyms can actually feel hard if you tackle them under leveled. I struggled with Bracius and Tulip specifically because my team composition wasn't right and I was at a lower level than I should have been. But that's not the gym being well designed, that's the game's lack of level scaling creating artificial difficulty. If I had done them in the intended order, they would have been just as easy as everything else. So the challenge I experienced wasn't a design feature, it was me being dumb. But with all of that, the worst gym in Gen 9, and honestly, one of the worst in the entire franchise, is Katie. Her gym test is the olive roll. You push a giant olive down a slope and try to guide it into a basket. That's the test. Rolling an olive for a Pokemon gym. And the controls are janky at best. The olive clips on the terrain, it gets stuck on geometry, and there's been reports of it literally soft locking the game by glitching into the ground. This is supposed to be your first gym experience in an open world Pokemon game. And the first impression is wrestling with a broken olive. When you get to Katie herself, her team is Nimble, Tarantula, and her ace is a Teddy Ursa. Teddy Ursa terrestrializes into a bug type. At least with Bracius, you were fighting a Sudowoodo that has coverage to beat your counters to the gym. And he definitely counters you. I'm ashamed to say I really struggled with him. I'm not sure what else to say about that. Gen 9 is the logical endpoint of the decline. The gym building is gone, the puzzles are gone, the tests are errands. Every element that defined what a gym was has been stripped away, piece by piece, over 4 generations. And you can't even say that the open world made up for it because the gyms don't level scale. It's the worst version of the gym experience we've ever gotten. Alright, we've been through every generation. 9 worst gyms, so where does that place them all? At bad, you have Crasher Wake from Gen 4 and Cillian, Chili, and Crest from Gen 5. Neither are good, but they exist in generations where the overall gym quality is so high that even the duds are passable. Crasher Wake at least has a functioning puzzle and a team with some type variety. And the monkeys at least teach you something. They're the worst gyms in the best eras. In the They Were Learning section, we have Blaine from Gen 1, Chuck from Gen 2, and Flannery from Gen 3. These are underwhelming gyms with weak teams, lazy or tedious puzzles, and poor placements in their games. But at least they exist in actual gym buildings with some semblance of a traditional challenge. You walk in, you solve something, you fight somebody, and you earn the badge. The formula is intact even if the execution is a bit lacking. For the are they thinking, we have Ramos from Gen 6, Olivia from Gen 7, where the gyms disappear entirely and even the replacement grand trials can't deliver. And Raihan from Gen 8. We have a gym leader that no one remembers, not even a gym trial, and in a disappointing battle. And the worst of the worst is Katie and Gen 9. A first gym leader whose test is rolling a broken olive. That's the worst gym in Pokemon. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe because I'm trying to reach 300 subscribers.